Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in Carthage at the Kibbe-Hancock Heritage Museum, a really fine museum that merits your visit anytime, but especially during the holidays when hundreds of people come to see the model trains. Jim Morrison, you walk to the far end of the building, and during the holidays at the Kibbe-Hancock Museum, this is what you see, an entire big room full of two model train layouts that are only here during the holidays.
That's right, it's a toy train paradise.
It is a paradise. It's a paradise for you and for Galen, the next train runner we're going to meet, right? You do this at home too.
I have a fetish for it. I just love it. I've always loved model trains. Ever since I was a boy, I've always enjoyed it.
And for the last, last 8 years, this has been available to the public during the holidays. Huh?
I brought it in. I had it at home when I first set it up. My wife's words were interesting when she first saw that taking over the dining room. And then the next year, she said, I think maybe you ought to share that with other people. So it had the opportunity. I was uptown for a year. And then I was with Boy Scouts for a while, and I didn't get to do that. But then the following year, I came in here, and it works out great. A lot of the public gets to come in, and they really enjoy it.
Take us over to your layout. We're going to see this one next, but take us over to yours. Now this really looks like Christmas time. I mean, this is gorgeous. Just deep blankets of snow.
They've always said that the Christmas layouts, I don't know if it's the white snow or beautiful layouts. There's something about the snow and Christmas. It's fantastic.
We're at the North Pole, aren't we?
Yes.
Isn't that where we are?
Yes, this is the North Pole end. This is kind of the fantasy land. And I put different trains on for try to change the theme of each year. This year, I always have the Polar Express on. That's the one thing I always try to do is leave the Polar Express right there. That was such a big book, great movie. And really it's about faith and things like that. And this is the French train that has French dialogue, and then below this is the New York Empire Express.
Okay, that's this one down here, okay? And all three run, and we can get them all going today, right?
Yes.
Well, now, listen, I'm intrigued by this French train because this steam engine here, the engineer actually speaks French, is that right?
It does speak French.
Let's hear that.
And it does have the French whistle. And there is French dialogue, which we can make that go. Hopefully.
Attention, quai numéro 2. Éloignez-vous de la bordure du quai.
Okay, I'm not sure what he said, but I'm sure it's exactly what he was supposed to say.
Yeah.
Attention, quai numéro 2. Éloignez-vous de la bordure du quai.
I pushed the wrong button. You have to push the right button. What it is passenger freight announcements that will come in. And this one is a long talker.
Well, Jim, while we're waiting for the Frenchmen to finish their dialogue over there, let's get this other train running. What are we looking at here?
This is the one that they ran from New York. It was a very busy, very luxury passenger hotel set that they ran with it. And it was a really nice setup that they had. New York Central at the time. It was that streamlined era where it was Art Deco, and they ran that system with their trains, and it stayed in business for many years. And then they reproduced these. Lionel did, and when they did that, it was your own responsibility. I actually painted the interiors of that and put in the passenger people, so you could decorate the interiors as to how you liked it.
Oh, okay. So you actually did the painting and the decorating on this one. I noticed that these are all steam engines. Do you ever dabble in anything else, or do you like the steam engine?
There's nothing more majestic about a steam engine. It's one of the neatest things ever built by man. Their driving rods and how they were built. What they were, they're fascinating to watch move. I've always enjoyed them. However, I do have many diesel locomotives, and the neat thing about that is that The diesel locomotives, they will all be working together. They'll be live and they'll be moving at the same time. So you can actually separate them, or they work in unison, and they can pull huge consists too. You can actually put them pushing on the back of the train also.
This is interesting. This bridge here was an original Lionel layout, right? And that's when the cars were twice as wide as the layout that you have here, right?
Yes, this is standard gauge here. At the time that these bridges were made, was the template or pre-war, they had standard gauge, and they were twice that. So one of those trains would fit through this bridge. O gauge is about half that size, so you can put two O gauge locomotives through that.
This gives us a good look here at town. This is some town in Illinois. But it's kind of interesting because this is your wife's half of the display, and yours is the polar area.
Actually,
right?
this is my side of the display.
This is your side.
That's my wife's side, and I married the two together. And so this is the church where that's where they make the toys on that side. This side is where they play with them. And so this is the hobby shop where they buy their toys. And then there's actually a toy shop, and Neil Young's guitar shop is also there too, because Neil Young at one time was an owner in the Lionel Corporation.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now, and if we look in the toy shop here, you can see that there are little model trains going on in display in there all the time, right? So that's if you want to go in and shop for your train for Christmas, that's where you would go.
That's where you would go. The hobby shops in America, where they have that. And they have all these trains that they run and different hobbies, model trains. I remember going into a hobby shop in Quincy years ago where we would go and get models. I was always into modeling and things like that. And that was fun going in. Those great memories of doing that when I was a little boy.
If we go around that side, we can get a good look at this layout, because I want to point out a couple of things.
Sure.
The train's still running, that's good, kind of going slow.
And down here is what they have, the diner's car that is making that noise down there. And that's the dining car. They have announcements on that, which the conductor makes announcements, the dining car is now open, things like that.
Now, as we see Lionel right at the bottom here, this base here, this is what you wanted built. You had this custom built for you, and as you can see, the way this is built, it's got the bluffs and I'm not sure what this stone is, limestone or something.
Sure.
And then you've got a stream going through a gorge there, and a train, a covered bridge, of course, and then the other train bridge. But you had this custom built for you because you admired the artisan so much that you just had to have it.
I met the guy at a train show in Cleveland, Ohio. I admired the work that he did with Lionel's. Boy, that's pretty with that smoke coming out. I'm sorry I had to make. But I admired his work. I met him. His name is Roger Farkash, and of TW Design, TW Train Works. And after meeting him, I think it was a year or two later that we went together and collaborated, and I wanted him to build the layout, because when you look at it, it's eye candy. I love his choice of colors that he uses. When it makes it stand out. I mean, it looks like a toy. It looks like something you would really want to play with.
He taught you how to do this too, didn't he? Because this is foam.
Yes.
And you can cut this foam with a knife, and you can make these gouges with as little as a pencil, right?
Yes, most of this done, and a pencil is a marvelous tool, and you just carve it with a pencil. You work laterally like that, and then you just carve these, and you can take out huge chunks with a pencil, and then you take pottery clay, which is terracotta clay, and sculpt them, and not sculpt them all, but a bonding adhesive. You mix those two together, and then you paint it over that. That gives it the shell finish, and then you apply your paints, and then you finish up with Sculpt-A-Mold and titanium white paint, and to make the snow.
And for these cars, for instance, did you do these? Did
Yes.
you cover these with snow?
That's the snow
neat.
up on top. You can see the little boy's footprints as he's going on top
That's
of
right.
the car, as he's approaching
Some other
the
folks
ghost
got
in
a
the
fire
train.
built up there.
And so you just take a regular paintbrush and titanium white paint, you pat that on there to make your snow like in the movie, and then you apply your angel dust, glitter, and sprinkle that up on top, and it gives you your shape up on top.
Yep. You got the North Pole on the left.
Yes.
You got Anytown, Illinois on the right. You got where the toys are made and where you got the toys are played with. That's pretty
right.
clever. That is pretty clever. And then you've got this train, which is obviously a luxury liner. These folks are going to the big city for Christmas or something.
I
I'm not
remember
sure
doing
what they're
that.
doing.
I remember hopping on the train and going to see my grandpa and grandma out in Wyoming. And it was the CB&Q, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy. And they had the Zephyr that would run from over there and then we'd change in Omaha for Union Pacific, and then we'd go out and see we called it the Yellow Train when we were kids. But that was UP at that time, before Amtrak, before the days of Amtrak.
Thank you, Jim.
You bet, thank you. I'm sorry.
Galen Walbrink, it's been, since 2012 that you've been bringing this in for the holidays?
Yes, sir.
And I guess the kids, like young and old kids, really get a kick out of it, don't they?
Oh yeah, they really do. The young kids just go nuts, and old people love it just as much as the little kids do. So
But
it's
probably
amazing.
more, don't they? Because it
really
takes
do.
them back to when they were.
They can relate to a lot of people had toy trains when they were young, and then of course people rode trains a lot more years ago than maybe they do today, and so it's they can really relate to it. I think.
You're I guess you call this. I call it a display. What do you call it? What do you call this setup? A setup?
Yeah, it's just an O-gauge layout.
Okay, layout. This stays here, right? I mean, it doesn't stay on display all the time, but it stays at the museum.
Yeah, it stays at the museum. We just put it in the storeroom in the summer months, and then bring it out in the winter. And we have the start off with the Christmas open house right at the end of November, and then we have, and that's when the whole town is having their doings around the square. And then we're open that night, and then we also do it 4 or 5 weekends during December, and then the 1st of January we just have an open house for Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and have people come in and look at it.
I get a kick out of you earlier. I said, well, when this goes down, I mean, what do you do for fun? And you said, well, I've got one at home that's 10 times this size.
Yes.
Really, 10 times?
Yeah, probably more than 10.
What kind of a room do you have it in?
Well, it's in the basement. It occupies a big percentage of the basement.
Almost all of the basement,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Wow,
It's a
10
big
times
difference.
this. Okay. Well, listen, you're going to show us how this works, right?
Okay.
Okay, we've got, this guy here is called the Big Boy.
That's a Union Pacific Big Boy.
And why is it called Big Boy?
Well, it's strange that when they were building the first ones of these locomotives, and it was in the erection shop, somebody took a piece of chalk and just wrote on the boiler Big Boy, and that name just kind of stuck with it ever after that.
Okay, and these were made in, they stopped making them in the 1940s, I guess? This is a steam, replica of a
It
steam.
was made in the 40s, and they ran it in the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah.
And,
Can you start it up for us?
Sure.
Okay, I heard the whistle. Okay. Wow, it kind of looks like it's going to tip over. It's got that, what's that called, the way that it...
That's an articulated locomotive, but they had to do that to be able to negotiate sharp curves.
Yeah.
Of course, these are more extreme than what the real ones would be, but...
And he's going to come around, right? He's on a loop?
Yeah.
Okay, so here comes Big Boy. We can see how he takes these turns. And that's actually the way the real locomotives do, too, isn't it?
Yeah.
There aren't many of those left, are there? I love the way the gates go down to let...
Yeah. Yeah, there's eight of the real ones left, and they're in various museums across the country.
There's only 8 left.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a real piece of equipment there, because I picked up one, and they're very heavy, aren't they?
Very heavy. They're die cast, solid die cast, and they have a lot of weight to them.
Oh, that's really neat. Now you've got six different loops set up here, and you can run all 6 trains at the same time, I take it,
Yes.
huh? Okay, you got a trolley car going back and forth there, and that just kind of keeps going. That's a trolley called Chicago Lines.
Yeah.
And what about up top? Can you start one of those up top for us? I see a locomotive with a slide on there.
Yeah, I sure can.
Got more noise going? Okay, there's the engineer talking to the control. Oh, there's Santa Fe. And that one's on a figure 8, huh?
Yeah.
And he's got all kinds. He's got all kinds of freight, doesn't he? He's got different
Mixed freight. There's several cars there that do action. There's a giraffe that
Here he comes around.
that sticks his head up there, and the horses with their heads out there that kind of go in and out and so forth.
Man, you've got all eras covered too. You've got a windmill spinning up top there,
Yeah.
and then right next to the windmill, you've got your is that a control tower or is that a okay.
Control tower with being walk around in it.
How neat is that? Let's keep walking around this way. Because as we can see the train come on here, you also have trains for children here. There's Thomas train, right?
Thomas tank engine. I can start him up. For
Okay,
you.
why don't you do that for us? Because, and in the same place there, you've got a gas or a gas well or an oil well.
Yeah.
That's pumping. There you go. You know, you're just a big kid yourself, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, like the sign says, you don't stop playing the train because you go old. You go old because you stop playing the train.
You know what we can do? Now is this? Let's go over to this side because you've got. You can make a fire happen at the old house over here, can't you? It's hilarious. And what are these guys doing, Galen?
Pardon?
What are these guys doing?
Oh, this is a switch tower, but
Oh, a switch tower.
yeah,
Okay.
you notice it.
Oh, I see what happens. So a fire breaks out.
Yeah. Smoke coming out in a minute.
Oh, there's the smoke. Okay. Fire breaks out. I see the flames and I see the smoke. And he comes out, help, help, help. And then he's running down for water, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, as long as we're over here, let's add these steam trains, big boy steam trains, they all need water because that's what makes the steam, right?
Right.
Can you show us how you might reload one?
Sure.
Okay, so he stops for a refill here.
All right.
Wow, you even see the water level go down in the tank.
Yeah.
This is another neat feature here because, okay, this particular steam engine carries its own water and its own coal as it goes, right? So it's
Yes.
always got a fuel with it. And this has an option of actually the fuel actually goes down as the
Yeah.
train runs, huh?
This locomotive is really highly detailed, and as you run this coal load will actually go down. You keep going down. The more you run it, the more it'll go down.
Uh-huh.
And you can actually press a button and get the level of the fuel and the
Oh,
water
that's what-
on it if you want.
You might as well be realistic as long
Yeah.
as you're going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, you can stop it in a coaling tower and press another button, and you can hear the coal falling into the hopper, and the coal level will come up. And this actually goes up and down. I mean,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's
Now, a layout like this, there's a lot of building that goes on with this. A lot of this is Lionel accessories.
Yeah.
But the bluffs and the hills and the topography that you have built over there, you did that all yourself, huh?
Yeah, I did it all myself.
What do you use? What kind of materials?
Actually, that was done pretty easily. I took insulating foam sheets, 2-inch sheets, and just stacked them up, and then I carved them and shaped them the way I wanted them, and then painted them, and it looks pretty realistic.
It sure does.
I was pretty amazed how well it came out and how quick and easy it actually was to do. I was in a big hurry to get this done at the time, and that was what I came up with in my mind to do.
And then, like the houses and the gas stations and all that comes, those are all models that you put together, is that right?
Yeah.
So that takes a lot of time too, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're just a lot of the buildings glued together and so forth. And some people scratch build them. They make their own buildings just totally from scratch.
Oh my goodness! Well, you have to be a woodworker to do that.
Well,
You'd have to be a carver and a woodworker.
It can be done, but it takes time. It's very time consuming. And I've never done that much, but these are all just kits, plastic kits.
Okay, so you got 1, 2, we got 3, we got 4 units running now. Can we get one more going? Which one would you like to get going before we leave? Before we leave your setup here.
Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and get them all running at once.
Okay, that'd be great. Chaos. Then we'll have chaos. And it might make you nuts. Okay. There goes the big boy. With Pullman cars. I like that. That's old fashioned.
There's a lot of action accessories here that going on.
Well, there's a lot going on in town. I don't want to get in the way of that. But in town, you can see that, they got putt-putt going there and a tug-of-war here.
Yeah. Got the model hobby shop.
And there's a hobby shop, and it's got little trains running in there. That's a hoot.
The guy putting the billboard up there.
You do. You see that? Welcome to what is it? Lionelville. Yep. Lionelville.
Yeah.
And it's in the middle of a little town.
Yeah.
With a church and a cafe. Oh, that's a hoot. Okay, we're gonna get one more going. One more train.
Oh, you're going the wrong way.
Oh, now I see it. It's coming around the bottom. Wow, that's a fast one. That is a fast one. That looks like it's going to go off the tracks. Wow. I'll bet when you have people in here all day, you're probably tired at the end of a day, aren't you?
Yeah.
Trying to keep track of all this?
Yeah, that's not too bad, though. I really enjoy it. I enjoy people having fun with it.
Hey, thanks for showing it to us.
Alrighty.
It's been fun.
My pleasure.
Howard, while you're in the Kibbe-Hancock Museum, and after you finish looking at the trains, there is an absolute one-of-a-kind car here that was built locally. It's the only one left in existence, and your museum had the great opportunity to get a hold of this thing. What a story.
It really is. It's been an item that we've talked about many times, trying to get this car in here at the museum. And finally, several of us visited with Mrs. Unsinger and were able to convince them to bring it here to the museum on a loan basis.
Her father owned the car. He passed away, left it to her. And it's interesting, there were only 50 Bergs made. They were made in Dallas City.
That's right.
And only one that we know of is left. And even this one had to be parts had to be found all over the county, didn't they, to put it back together?
They were scattered on a farm, and they found part of it in a barn, part of it in the dirt outside, and so forth. So they finally collected all that together and put it together as a car.
Let's move to the back a little bit here. The Berg family started building carriages or wagons in Iowa.
That's right.
And that's where they had the expertise to start. And then they thought, well, you know what? There's a change coming. There's going to be automobiles, and we want to get in on that. So they started in 1907, didn't they? Building cars.
They sure did. And they continued to do that until Actually, this is a 1910 Berg, and they built these cars for 3 years. They only built 50 of them, as you said before, and this is the only one that's survived. But once they discontinued building cars, they continued on with the carriage business until 1919.
Would you honk that horn for us? This is interesting. You got to be pretty strong to do this. And then, okay, and there's the horn right there. What is this?
Well, this is a cylinder that generates gas for the headlights. This is like a carbide lamp in front, and this, they put water in there and in pellets, and that generates gas for the headlights.
And you can see that they were still modeling after European cars. The steering wheel's on the right.
That's correct.
And of course nowadays we know better than that. We do it differently, but that's the way it was then. And this is actually a convertible, isn't it?
Yes, it is. This is the leather top. It folds back, and so you can have an open touring car if you want. It does have brackets up here for side curtains that would help protect the passengers in rainy seasons and so forth. But they didn't use that much. The top pretty well shaded everybody during the summertime, and you know, they didn't drive these cars a lot in the wintertime because the roads were in such terrible condition.
Sure. Well, Howard, thank you so much for showing it to us. This is going to be an eye-opener for people if they want to come in and take a look.
Well, it's been a big attraction for everyone that has come to the museum, and they were just really amazed to see this. And we are so fortunate to have it here in Hancock County.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Well, the Berg, of course, you can see almost any time here at the Kibbe-Hancock. The trains, on the other hand, are only here through the month of December and into the first week of January, so you may want to check out exactly those appointment times when you can get in to see the trains. With another Illinois story in Carthage, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Illinois Arts Council Agency, and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send 1995 to P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.